We're going live. We're here today to talk about a new coin, one that's been probably the most requested. As you know, I've been doing these series, DYOR, how to do your own research, and I've been doing them for you guys, putting them up and getting a lot of really good feedback, so I'm keeping them going. As always, feel free to leave in the comments coins that you would like me to do these on. I'm adding them to the list. I tell you that I add them to the list, and we do. The ones that get the most votes, I'll end up doing on them. So anyway, this is one today that we're going to go over. I want to wait for some people to show up. But like I said, this is one that's probably the most requested coin. As I always like to say at the beginning, that I am not paid by anybody to do this. I have not received these tokens or coins. I haven't been paid. I'm not endorsing it. I'm not saying that it's a good buy. I'm not saying that you should buy it. Rather, I am going to do research on it as we've been asked to do. So I hope you enjoy it. As always, leave me your comments. Hey, Dave, thanks for coming by. Randall, cool, good you're here. Cool. So, as always, like I said, give me lots of thumbs up if you want me to keep doing these things for you. Leave your comments. As you probably know, I try and reply to every single comment that comes in. I'll stick around for some questions and answers if we need that at the end. And so I'm just going to wait for some people to come in. Looks like they're coming in right now. Yeah, so I'm not endorsing it. I'm not saying to buy it. However, this is a pretty interesting project, and let's go ahead and dig in. So the question that we want to ask right now is TRAC the #1 coin for the $13 billion supply chain management problem? That's SCM, supply chain management. So that's the question that we want to answer. So we're going to use our guide. If you've watched these before, you understand I use this guide. It's a PDF guide that you can download, and it's very easy to go ahead and put all your information in. There's a link down below that you can download it for free. It's a PDF. You just fill it in. You can save it. So when you're looking at coins, it kind of tells you what to look for. And then you can save it all in your folder. I have resources right here, ones that I use and ones that we're going to be using here to do this research. So as you're following along, the very first thing I like to do is I like to try and find the value. So we're going to look at this. Now, of course, the easiest place to do that is just go right over here to CoinMarketCap, coinmarketcap.com. As you're probably aware, I don't like to look at the price of the coin. That's not really what's important here. The most important thing is this, the market cap. This tells us how much the company is worth, all right? So I want to know how much the company is worth, the value of the company, because I want to compare it to other companies to find out if it's a good deal, if it's too expensive or whatever, right? So I have the price of the coin, but really I'm looking at the market cap. So first thing I want to gather is I want to know the date that it went public. That's a big thing for me. I like to know, is it a new coin or is it an old coin? And none of these things on their own mean anything. Rather, they all add up to things when you kind of add them all up together. Okay, so if it's a relatively new coin that's out, I can take that into account as I see the price movement. If it's been out for a long time, I also take that into account as well. So in this case, it launched in January, right as the kind of the peak of the bull market was tapering down. So it kind of launched at probably like the worst possible time. We can see that it launched at 17 cents and it shot up to 45 cents almost immediately, or a $268 million valuation. All right, the current price is 21 cents. There's 268 million tokens out there. And again, the market cap, the value of this company is $56 million. So it's still a pretty small cap gem, as I would consider it. So anything under 100 million is what I would probably consider small cap. So it's still a small cap. Now, I put right here the all-time high was 45 cents, which actually gave it a market cap of 268 million. So it was up to 268 million at one point. Now it's down to 56 million. Now, the next thing I like to look at is how many exchanges are carrying the coin. This is a big thing for me. I put down one mid-side exchange and 3 smaller exchanges. And we can do that by just going here to coinmarketcap.com and clicking on the markets tab. And this will show us the exchanges that have this. Now, I consider KuCoin to be one of the mid-size or even smaller size exchanges. IDEX, obviously, I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with that, but that's definitely a smaller exchange. It's one of the more difficult ones to use, lots of liquidity problems. So I put down it's one exchange and a couple mid-sized exchanges. The reason why I note that and the reason why I look at that is because as it gets added to bigger exchanges, it's opened up to new buyers. And as it's opened up to new buyers, typically we can see the price go up. A lot of times we can see the price pump quite a bit from it being added to one new exchange, especially certain exchanges like whether that be Upbid in Korea or maybe that's Binance, right? So we could expect to see a pretty good pump. So one of the things that I'm paying attention to here on the amount of exchange that it's listed on is I want to make sure that it's on some decent exchanges so there's some liquidity so I am able to buy it and sell it if I want to. But I also like to see that it's not on all the major exchanges because that makes me believe that there's room to run up as it gets continued to be listed, right? As it continues to open up to new buyers. So if it is already on all the major exchanges, it might be kind of at the top of where it might be expected to go right now. But we could easily see if it got listed on just one or two more exchanges, the price could pump pretty good. So I put that there. And as always, down here, there's a place to put some notes. So these are the notes that I have as I'm doing this. So my first note was that the all-time high of the price, going from 17 cents to 45 cents, the all-time high was 3 days after the launch. And what that tells me is that there was a ton of demand built up for this company in ICO stage. So that means that people were looking at it in the pre-sale, the ICO, people weren't able to get into the ICO for whatever reason, and they followed this thing all the way through until it hit the public, and all that demand came in to buy it up. All right. So sometimes you see that after the private sale and ICO, they dump the coin onto the market. In this case, it actually went the opposite way. So it pumped. So the all-time high going from a $56 million valuation up to a $268 million valuation happened only just 3 days after the launch. So I like that. That means that people were eager, people were paying attention, people liked what they were doing. Of course, the price dumped. I can't really blame the company for that. Obviously, as we all know, the entire market dumped. So sometimes when you're keeping up with the market, it's not really like losing. It's not like this coin dumped and the rest of the market moved forward. This coin basically just followed the rest of the market. The other thing that I see here, I put down is that the current price is half of the all-time high price. And what I like about that is that shows me that there's lots of room to run up. So the all-time high was about half. So this is not technical analysis. This isn't deep. I'm not going to get into all that stuff with you guys right now. This is basic fundamental analysis, but from a fundamental standpoint, if I see that it had previously gotten up to the $268 million valuation, I believe that as the market turns, the bulls start running again. I think getting back to 268 million is pretty realistic. As we'll get to further towards the end, we'll actually look at some valuations of where we think it can go. But I'd like to know where the all-time high was, especially in relation to time. How long after it launched and how long ago was that? And what were the market conditions like? And so since it ran up super high, it was anticipated, it dumped with the rest of the market. I believe as the bulls turn, getting back to 268 is pretty easy. So from that perspective, it's easy that we could potentially see a double, 100% return on that. Other things that I put down, the all-time low was on 4/1. That was April 1st, and that was 10 cents. And what that tells me is that, again, the entire market dumped super hard. That's when the entire market saw an all-time low right around that same time. So again, it didn't dump on its own. There weren't unseen factors that caused this. It wasn't a black swan just for TRAC. It was the total market. The other thing that it tells me is that kind of tells me where the floor is. So it's 10 cents. So I always want to look at risk and reward. And so that tells me, well, I could get in at 20 cents. I could potentially drop down to 10 cents, but I could easily run up to 40 or 50 cents. So I'm just getting a gauge for my my risk and reward, all right? Let's see what else we got. Other things I put down, I'm going to get to those notes towards the end. The next thing I want to do is I want to look at the features. And really, this is the most important piece. Maybe I need to redo this guide because I should probably start with this because answering these questions, I can typically get rid of about 90 or 95% of all the companies I look for right here. And if you've been watching these series, you'll know, obviously I'm trying to squeeze this into about 30 or 40 minutes for you guys. So I can't go super deep into everything. If it's a coin that I really want to buy, I'm going to put hours and hours and hours, tens of hours, or more, 40, 50 hours. I want to contact the team. I want to talk to them. So I'll do lots of deep digging. Of course, I can't do that here. But before I do all that deep digging, I want to start weeding companies out because I can't put all that time into every coin. So one of the best ways I do that is right here. Question number 1. What problem is the product trying to solve? Simple. I know it sounds simple, but really use that. So I've had people ask me all the time, what do you think about Telegram coin? Telegram, okay, well, why are you interested? Well, Telegram has this massive user base and they raised $1 billion and I think the coin could be really good. And I say, okay, great. What problem are they solving? I don't know the answer to that. So anyway, I always want to know what problem are they trying to solve. I want to ignore companies that are trying to solve, that are searching for a solution to a problem. So what we have here is supply chain management problems related to interoperable data and data integrity and compliance. The problem is data is fragmented and supply chain data is centralized. And we get that really easily. We can go right to the website right here. Just for you guys that don't know, you can look it up on CoinMarketCap. You can click on website right here, and it opens up the website. As I scroll down on the website, it tells me right here, and I love this because you'd be surprised how many coins aren't even clear about this. If they can't tell me right away the problem they're trying to solve, I just don't think they have a very good grasp on it. I get pitched all the time by VC firms and ICOs, want us to do reviews and want us to advise and this and that. And they always want to start digging into their tech and these things. And I always say, hang on, back up. Before I do that, the first thing I want to know is what problem are you solving? So anyway, in this case, they put it right here. It unlocks the potential of blockchain technology for global supply chains. So that's what they're trying to do. Fix the problem with supply chains to ensure data integrity for inter-organizational environments with existing use cases across different industries. All right, so that's what they're trying to solve. Easy in that case, they tell us right now. And then I want to know, does the product have unlimited demand? Does it have a large audience, a large scale, or is it only going to solve a small little problem? Right? So for example, Bitcoin can replace every currency in the world, and there's 2 billion adults in the world that don't have access to banks. That's a massive problem. You have coins like Dent coin, it serves dentists. There's like 200,000 dentists in the United States. That's like a really small problem. So in this case, yes, that's a really big problem. Now, how big is it? Well, I said it's a huge market, over $13 billion. That's really big. So we can do that. We can see just a couple things right here. So right here, supply chain market value to surge past 13 billion by the end of 2017. So that's how big the supply chain market is. We can see that blockchain technology is beneficial for supply chain management. So we can see exactly how it's solving it. It boosts efficiency in categories. It's easier to track, easier to transact. It saves them money. It's more reliable. It's more secure, right, etc. We can see right here, CNBC, they said that blockchain applications are still years or even decades away, but analysts expect blockchain will first prove its value in supply chain management. All right, so that's one of the first areas they think is going to be disrupted. Why blockchain is a game changer for supply chain management transparency. On Forbes, why blockchain may be your next supply chain. On and on and on. Why blockchain is a game changer for supply chain management. Again on Forbes. Blockchain for supply chain management. You get the point. Blockchain is a killer app for supply chain. You get that, right? So everybody sees this. CNBC says it's probably one of the first areas that blockchain is really going to disrupt. All these Forbes, Computer World, all these people are saying that it's going to solve problems in supply chain, and we know that the supply chain market is about $13 billion. So that's good. I like that. So that answers that question. And then, are they using blockchain technology in a unique way? So a lot of companies out there, they're launching these blockchains, but I don't think they really need a blockchain. As a matter of fact, I think they should probably just have a website or like a database, like a centralized database. They don't need blockchain, but it's this hot buzzword everyone's trying to use. So do they need a blockchain? Are they using it in a unique way? And I would say yes. So each data set is immutably fingerprinted on the blockchain with cryptographic hashes. They also use zero knowledge proof for privacy. So those are obviously blockchain tools. And we can see a lot of that by going to the white paper right here. And if we scroll down, we can see, so here's the problem they're solving, supply chain challenges. The problem is that data is fragmented. The problem is it's suitable. That there's no suitable decentralized solution right now. So those are the problems. We talked about that. More problems. Data is fragmented. There's low interoperability of data. So that means right now that there's hundreds or maybe thousands of solutions, different softwares and things like that are working in the supply management space, but none of them are talking. They're not interoperable. They can't operate together. And so there's a low interoperability of data. That's a big one. There's a lot of organizations trying to bring order and integrity, but it's fragmented, right? So due to the centralized logic of data collection, so they want to decentralize that. We talked about that. The shortcomings of decentralized solutions. So none of the current solutions provide high performance functionalities of storing, processing, and interacting with other interconnected data. So those are the problems. Now, are they using blockchain in a unique way? Of course. So it's the first purpose-built protocol for supply chains. All right, so that's a big piece. I added some notes here. I kind of already went over them. On CNBC said that blockchain will be the first, probably be the first to be proven in the supply chain management space. I also put down that they want to be interoperable with other chains and systems. And that's a big thing for me. If you've been watching my videos, you know that I'm really excited about this whole interoperability space. That means that we have all these different databases, all these different blockchains, and some are online, some are offline, old whatever. And so there are all these different silos, but they don't talk, they don't communicate, they don't interoperate. And so I'm really excited about all these new interoperability layers like OneChain, Fusion, Aeon, all those types of players. And that's exactly what these guys are doing. So they're basically building an interoperable protocol to interoperate between all the supply chain management interfaces that are out there right now. So that's really cool. The next thing that I like to find out when I'm doing any fundamental analysis on a coin is I want to specify the blockchain layer. Is it a protocol that other platforms and applications can be built on? Is it a platform that application can be built on? Or is it an application like a dApp? I typically like to go into protocols. Again, this is fundamental investing here. We're not trading. If we're trading, we don't care about any of this. We're going to get into the technicals, right? But I'm talking about investing. I'm talking about getting in early on a company and holding it for a long time. Now, as you saw in this article from CNBC, they said blockchain applications are still years and even decades away. So I hate to tell you, but you may need to be prepared to hold for a long time. Like, I see the potential that this company has, the disruption that they have, the market that they're trying to solve, but like it's going to take a while to get there. So I can't really hold that many coins. Like I might hold about 30 coins in my long-term portfolio that I'm planning to hold for that long, for years, right? So I got to pick the best 30. And for me, I don't see applications or dApps being that. I think that those are going to be in the protocol and the platform layers. So for me, I'm typically looking for that, but at least you want to identify that. You might want to invest in applications, and that's fine, but it's just good that you identify that and know that. The next thing is I want to know about the consensus mechanism. Depending on the use case, what they're trying to do, this may be more important than others. In this case, they are proof of work. I put it's a protocol and a platform for supply chain management companies to build on. And currently it's built on Ethereum. So that's how we know that it's a proof of work, because it's built on Ethereum, which is proof of work, obviously. They have fully developed solutions, will provide interfaces to many different blockchains. So that's going to be the interoperability piece that we're talking about. Again, we can go back to the white paper. This talks about the data interoperability, and it shows the way that they're this layer sitting right here, and they're going to be able to talk and interact with all these different blockchains right here. And if we go down a little bit, so this talks about zero knowledge proof. So basically, they're going to be able to make all of this private. Obviously, my supply chain data is probably going to be private. I probably don't want you or my competitor to know about my supply chain data, and so they'll be using zero knowledge proof to do that. And then we get into the consensus part, which is what I was trying to get down to, which talks about using the Ethereum blockchain. And so that's how we know it's a proof of work. That's the consensus mechanism. All right. Let's see. The next thing I like to know is monetary policy. All right. So I want to know why do you need a token, or do you need a token? Why do you need a token? What are you going to do with the token? How is the token going to be used? Most importantly, if I buy the token, what's going to make the token go up in value, right? That's what I want to know. How do I get my money back? That's a simple question. If you've ever watched Shark Tank, right, that's what they always ask. Mr. Wonderful says, I don't see how I'm going to get my money back, or you tell me how I'm going to get my money back. So I want to know that they have a solid token metric system that will cause the price of that token to go up. So again, back to the white paper, we can go here and we can look and find what the token metrics are. And we can see down here somewhere, right here, the trace token economics. So we can see that the trace token is the means of compensation between supply chain data producers and data consumers on one side, and the origin trail node holders on the other. All right, so this is how the data is going to be transferred and secured, and this is what's going to incentivize the node holders as well. It's an incentive to the nodes in the peer-to-peer network to perform the system functionalities. So that's what keeps it going. There's a little diagram that shows you how the token economics work. I'm not going to go super deep into that because of time. Therefore, origin trail nodes are incentivized to do two groups of tasks. One, data processing. So that's the supply chain consensus checks, the data quality, etc. And also storing, managing, and delivering the data in a graph form. So that's what it's doing. Now, I'm teaching you guys how to fish. I'm not giving you the fish. As you can see, I'm showing you what to look for, where to go look for it. So if you guys want to dig in deeper, you can go download this white paper right off their website. The next thing I like to look at is the roadmap. Now, I like to make sure that they have a working product. At least they have some sort of a prototype at a minimum. Beta products are better. Working products are even better, and that's because of the risk. If I'm going to invest into a company that doesn't even have a product, doesn't even have a prototype, it's pretty scary. I read so many white papers where they say they're going to solve this problem. They're going to solve the problem. They're not solving it. They haven't got it figured out. And so that's really scary to me. Like, how do I know they're going to be able to solve that problem, right? So there's a lot of risk there. As they get further along, the risk goes down. Yes, also my return might go down as well, right? If I get in early, I'll make more money. The problem for me is that that extra risk isn't worth the extra money that I can make. Investing is all about risk and reward, managing the risk and reward, making sure I have more upside than downside. Your losses are asymmetric. If you lose 50%, I have to make 100% just to get back to even. So the best way to make money is not to lose it. And so I want to see at least a beta product, and the further along that it gets, the better. So as we can see, when we go to their website right here, we can see their roadmap. Now, they have been around since 2013 in the supply chain management space. Obviously, they haven't had their blockchain that long. They don't have this exact solution up that long, but they've been in the space. They have the business up and running. They've been making money. Zoom down here to 2017. They linked to the Ethereum main network. So in Q3 2017, they got it linked up to the Ethereum network. They formed this Trace Alliance, which is really cool. So they want to be a protocol, a supply chain management protocol. And what I like about protocols is that means that it's a protocol that other people can build on. What is a protocol, you may be asking? Let me explain. So if you've ever set up your email on your iPhone or on your Outlook, you'll notice that you have to put in like an SMTP. SMTP is a protocol of how internet or how email works. Now, I may use Outlook, you may use Gmail, and they may use Hotmail. Those are all applications. Those are email applications, but they're all built on the SMTP protocol. So Origin Trail is a protocol that all these supply chain management applications can be built on. All right, that's why I like protocols, and they could potentially be worth more than all the applications that are built on them. And what they've done is they formed this Trace Alliance, which is getting more people to join to like a certain standards, and then they're really going to enforce their protocol. So I like that. We can see here in 2018 they've continued. Look how much they're doing. They have the activity report going for the Trace Alliance. In March they released some new updates. I'm not going to go on, but they're on the Ethereum test network. In March they did some more, and look how much stuff they're doing through April. constantly doing updates, constantly doing improvements, and on and on and on. So you can see that here, and they put their zero knowledge privacy layer in in May. They're doing the checks on the privacy layer and so forth. You guys can read through this, but look how much stuff they're doing on their roadmap. It really bothers me when I look at a roadmap that's like 10 years long or 5 years long. I want to see that they're already working on stuff, and they're really active on working on stuff. So as you can see, they are. That's good. I put here in my notes, the trace token is used for compensation between supply chain data producers, which we already talked about. It provides incentives to nodes and peer-to-peer network. Great. Also, the trace token is implemented as an ERC20 compatible token on Ethereum. Now, that's super important because Ethereum tokens have formed this ERC20 standard. About 75% of tokens are on that ERC20 standard, and we're seeing that standard used all across the industry. And so a big piece to being interoperable and working across all these different chains is having a token that is adhering to that ERC20 standard, which they are. So I like that. And then I put down that they've been running since 2013, they're launching their test nets and main nets and all that stuff. Great. All right. Now, the next thing that we'll talk about is the team. And as you probably know, I put a lot of emphasis on the team. Having a great idea is one thing, but having the right team is maybe more important. The reason why it's almost more important is because one of the great things about blockchain technology is they're open source. It's called trustless, right? So I have to trust Bitcoin, or I have to trust Ethereum to work the way it is. In order for me to trust that, it has to be open, so it can be verified. So everything is open source. That's great. The problem with everything being open source is that means anybody can copy it. So that means that if I can go to market really well, my go-to-market strategy is really well, I have a lot of connections in this industry, I could go take a copy of somebody else's technology and try and implement that. It's not quite as easy as I'm making it sound, but those are the threats. So I like to see that they have a really, really good team. Now, in this case, we'll just go back to the website. And we'll pull up the team, which I think was down here at the bottom. Yep, right here. So it lists all the team. They don't make it super easy to find all the answers to this. You kind of have to click on everybody's LinkedIn and whatnot. I've gone ahead and done some of the research ahead of time so I can kind of fill you in. But basically, Thomas right here, he's been involved in supply chain transparency since 2011. He's also part of the Ethereum Enterprise Alliance. All right, so that's two big things. So when I'm looking for a team, there's two things I'm looking for. One, I want to see blockchain experience. And two, I want to see industry experience. So they can have different people on the team that bring that well-rounded experience. I want to see blockchain experience and industry experience. Now this guy, Thomas, the co-founder, has both. One, he's been in supply chain since 2011. And two, he's part of the Ethereum Enterprise Alliance as an HFarm alum. So that's pretty good. Who else do we have? There's CMO right here, Maja. She's 6 years in experience in marketing at Google, Rocket Internet. She has an MS degree in business administration. And she's an ICO rater at ICO Bench. So she has experience in marketing at Google and Rocket Internet, which are really big companies. She also has a degree in business admin, so she has a pretty good mind for this. And she's doing ratings at ICO Bench for ICO. So she really gets the industry. So she, again, has the industry experience and the blockchain experience. I like that. Let's see. Right here, Sava, he's their interoperability specialist. He's a PhD researching statistical methods in e-businesses, 7 years of experience at Microsoft as a Microsoft consultant, and a financial auditor at KPMG. KPMG is one of the big 4 accounting firms in the world. That's massive experience. Let's see. I don't want to go through all of these. I would pull the highlights. Nino right here, head of business development. So that's a big piece. I talked about going to market strategy. The business development is a big piece of that. He's helped over 30 businesses execute business transformations. He worked for Deloitte. So Deloitte is a really big firm. They're really, really active in the blockchain space. So that's a good pedigree. I like that. Let's see who else we got. Radomir right here. He's a software engineer. He's a former employee of Skype. 7 years in that industry, so that's good. Ken, let's see. I made all these notes so I could try and speed it up. Ken Lyon was a VP of International Services at UPS, and I can go on and on and on. So you kind of get the idea. The other thing that I like to see is I like to look at advisors. Now, some people think advisors are worth a lot. Some people think advisors are worthless. Where I feel that advisors really come into play are their door openers, their gate openers, right? So if I need to get into the supply chain space, I'd like to see that I have advisors in that industry that could just open up doors, make introductions for me in the blockchain space. And so we can see that we have that here, supply chain integrity standards advisor, business development advisor, IoT advisor. So they have a really well rounded out team of advisors. So I really like that as well. All right, let's get back to the guide. Now, I also want to look at the community. So again, going to market is a big piece. I want to make sure that there's a lot of people that really like the project, people that are talking about the project, people that want to push the product, share the product, etc. And that comes down to the community. I want to find people that are aware of the coins, etc. So does the project provide multiple online communities for their team, fans, and investors to connect? We can go right back to the website. And right here they show us they have Twitter, Telegram, Reddit, and then GitHub is their code base. So they have three, I guess, Twitter, Telegram, and Reddit. I like to make sure that they have pretty big communities. So what I want to do is, do they provide multiple online communities for their team? Yes. Do they have a substantial amount of members on each platform? Now, these numbers may not mean a lot to you until you really dig in. If you open up Twitter, I can see they have about 12,000 followers. That's okay. It's not a whole lot. If I go to Telegram, I can see they have about 10,000. It's kind of average, not super big. So their community development could do a little bit better. I've spent some time in their communities. This is a big piece. Does consumer sentiment appear to be happy, bullish, or at least encouraged? So the only way that you can do that is you have to dig in. You have to join the communities and you have to be active in them. Listen to the conversations. What are people saying? I like to try and get in there, find out who the group admins are, talk to the admins, see how informative they are, how helpful they are, how they respond to stuff. That's a really big piece. Just because they have a huge community, if everybody's pissed off and hates the project, it doesn't do you any good. So you want to find out that they have a lot of platforms, they have a lot of members, and everybody's happy and talking about it. So I put the numbers right here, 12,000 for Twitter, 10,000 for Telegram, 5,000 on Reddit. The next piece I want to do is I want to see that they have active development. So what a lot of times we see is that a company launches, they get their GitHub going, but they're not updating it. They kind of like abandon the project. So I want to make sure that they're active, that they're actively working on the project. As I put here, actions speak louder than just a slick website and a white paper. So I want to look at that. And again, we can go right to their website. We can click on their GitHub. And we can see right here, they have 8 repositories. Kind of most of their stuff is right here in this one. There's 1,132 commits and 11 contributors. It's pretty good. It's a lot of commits. It's a decent amount of contributors. I'm weary when I see 1 or 2 contributors. It's kind of scary. I like to see that they have more people working on that. A lot of times we can see 20, 30 contributors. That's even better. 1,100 commits is pretty good. That means they're actively working. You might also just kind of want to scroll down and see what these are. Now, of course, unless you're a coder, it may be hard to understand exactly what they are, but you don't want them to be simple things like just like answering emails and things like that, right? Like little silly updates. You want to make sure that they're actual real things. So 1,100 commits, 11 contributors, pretty decent number. I put that down here. Code repositories 8, 1,132 commits, and 11 contributors. The next thing I just want to see like their upcoming events and their news. And we can see that a lot of times they have a dedicated news spot. I don't see that here. What they do have is they have this right here, which kind of has all their communication. And you can see that they're super active. They're doing lots of community stuff. They're on the road. Let's see, updates, road shows, team meetups, releases. So they're super active with their communities. I like that. They're getting out there. They're doing some of that stuff. And that's about it. Now I'm going to go back to the beginning. Now what I'd like to do. So now that we've gathered all this information, so imagine if I wanted to buy a car. I wanted to buy whatever. I wanted to buy a Dodge Sprinter van, but I don't know anything about Dodge Sprinter vans. How much should I pay? I don't know. So I would open up, Auto Trader, and I would start looking at all the Dodge Sprinter vans for sale. What years, what miles, what features, power windows, power locks, what colors. And after I did that for a while, I'd start to figure out about how much they'd worth. So then if I'd say, ooh, a 2008 with 30,000 miles, that's worth 40 grand. Oh, a 2014 with 10,000 miles, that's worth 60 grand or whatever. Right? So you start to know what they're worth. And so the same is true with trying to identify how much the value of one of these companies could be, is we want to look at what other companies like this are going for. That's how we find the value. So now that we've identified the features, the mileage, the color, the air conditioning, etc., the features of this were the team, their roadmap, their tech, all those kinds of things. Now we can compare them to other companies similar and try and get a value. Now I've done some of the work already ahead of time. Some other companies that I've found in the supply chain management space, we have this one called Particle. They're in the supply chain space. They are relatively new. They have a market cap of 71 million. So, right off the bat, we have about a 50% potential gain just to catch up to Particle. We have VChain, who's in the supply chain management space. They're at a $2 billion market valuation. And we have Walton Chain, which is also in the supply chain management space, and they have about a $300 million valuation. When I look at those, there's also some that aren't pure blockchain space. So like this company right here, TradeShift, they're expanding into blockchain space for supply chain management, and they have a valuation of 1.1 billion. So we see companies down on the low end like 300, almost 400 million, up to 1 billion, up to 2 billion. So that kind of gives us an idea of how far this can run. I put those numbers right here, as you can see. So I gave a real basic example that like, hey, the all-time high was 268. When we get back into a bull market, I think getting back to 268 should be pretty easy, but really that's only 100% or 200%. Like I want to know, I guess that'd be like a 4x, 5x return. I typically like to see that I can have a 10x return. So if I'm going to get into a long-term hold, I want to have a 10x potential. And when I see the prices of Walton Chain, VChain, TradeShift, it makes me believe I can get that. So those are all the things that I look for when I'm evaluating these companies. That's how I find the value in this potential one. There's other people in the market, in the space, that are doing a lot more right now. And so, it's up to you if you think it can do that. As always, you got to do your own research, but hopefully I've given you the tools that you need to do that. Hopefully you like this video. Maybe you don't agree with it. Maybe you're a fanboy of TRAC and you don't think I did justice. Always leave your comments down below. I always try to answer every single comment. If you want me to do more fundamental coin reviews like this, make sure to smash the like button, give me some thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Again, leave me your comments. I'll address those. Let's see. I'll look at a couple questions here and see what we can come up with. See if I can answer a couple of these for you. Let's see here. Sam, I don't understand people's obsession with Origin Trail versus Devry. It's a protocol as well and has better partnerships. Okay. Yeah, I haven't done a review on Devry. We haven't been asked, as I said, right? Leave your favorite coins in the comments and I'll do a review on them. If you like Devry, go ahead and submit it and we'll add that to the list. Ricky, how long does it take me to do one of these? Well, how long does it take me to do one of these for the video, or how long does it take to do one before I invest my money? Those are big differences. To do one of these videos, it probably takes me a couple hours to prepare this for you guys. Before I would decide if I want to invest my money into a long-term hold, I could spend weeks on it, because really I want to start digging in. I contact the team. I want to talk to people at the team. I want to talk to the founders. I want to find out how smart they are. So going off of information I find on their website isn't really enough for me. So it just depends. Hopefully that helps answer the question. Jason says, yo. What's up, Jason? Sam says he's a procurement manager at UPS, and I don't see the hype for TRAC. Well, you know, UPS is a supply chain management company, so a lot of times banks don't like Bitcoin either. Maybe they don't see that. But they have massive partnerships, including Walmart. Walmart has a massive need for supply chain management stuff. I mean, I'm talking about keeping track of things like coffee beans, wine, where wine was grown, you know, things like that, meat, things like that. So it's important, and it's not for everybody, but it's for a lot of people, as I showed you in all those news presses that we saw there. IBM's doing something different. Yeah, IBM's doing a bunch of things. Where's the Bulls at, Dan? Yeah, I don't know. They're coming. I think they're coming. Get ready. Randall says, got BTC. Ronnie, can you review Dent if you have not already? Dent is solving the problem for mobile data in countries. Yeah, add it to the list or leave it in the comments. I'll add it to the list. I do it off of votes, the ones that I get the most requested on. I'll put together for you. Falk says, can I do a video on my favorite kind terms holds? Not sure what that means. Sorry. I know about AM1, OMG, Zencash. What else are you holding long term? Oh, you want to know what I'm holding. To find out the coins that I'm holding and to know exactly what to buy, when to buy it, check out the 14-day trial for $7 down below. The link's down below. Dave says code's in early alpha version. Right, yeah, it's still being worked on, right, as we can tell from the roadmap. But at least there's something going there. I like that. Nicholas, can Signal Profit members get a discount for research profits? Yeah, definitely. Send an email to support@signalprofits.com. Ricky says, you're making us self-sufficient. How to do it on your own? That's my goal, man. I'm trying to teach you guys what I would want to know if I was on the other side of the table. Again, right, I'm not trying to give you a fish. I'm trying to teach you to fish. Now, you know, the problem is that between the team that we have a pretty big team over here at Signal Profits. Obviously, you know me and Jacob, but we have a whole team behind us, and I'm guessing we're probably spending 500, 600 hours a month just on research, and the average person doesn't really have time for that. So I definitely want to give you the tools to DYOR so you understand what you're buying, but, you know, I just don't think you have 500 or 600 hours a month to spend doing it like we do. Dave, April was for their big code push. Okay. Looks like Dave's got a lot to say about this. He must really like it. Paul Duffy, thoughts on Banyan? Okay, we'll put that in the list. CryptoBeat, is TRAC connected to Origin Protocol? No. As far as I'm aware, no. I have a video interview with Origin Protocol. It's on the channel, so just go to videos and you'll find it was at Consensus in New York. I sat down with one of the reps from Origin Protocol and I did an interview with them. So if you want to find out more about them, you can. Why is Electronium so heavily trolled? I don't know. I can't tell you why trolls do what they do. Man, time is such a limited resource. I don't see why anybody would want to troll like that. I mean, there's just so many better things to do with your time. CryptoBeat, you guys def are the best. YouTube team, thank you. I appreciate that. All right. Yeah, so it looks like I got through all the questions. Thanks for watching. If you're not watching this on the live, if you're watching on the video, again, leave your comments. I'll answer them and add the coins that you want me to review next. The ones that get the most votes, I'll go ahead and get them done for you. That's it. TRAC is Origin Trail. It's a massive problem they're trying to solve. As we saw, it's probably going to be one of the first areas that blockchain technology is going to disrupt. So definitely keep your eye on it. That's it for today. Thanks for joining.